Hello, hello. Hopefully my audio isn't too fucked. I am in the middle of a heat wave in my city, which is so regular I feel like it's disingenuous to imply that it's extraordinary. This is just what summer is like here now. A lot of people like to say that it's not normal because I don't think they want to believe that climate change is real, but it's been like this since I got here. So yeah, things are a little bit hot in my room. I have a fan going in the background. Hopefully it's not too awful. Let me know if the audio quality is really shit and I'll turn it off, but hopefully I won't need to do that, because, yeah, it's very hot. Hey there, Zepha. Stream. Very nice. Hey there, Archie. Oh no, you can't use a rail to dance. That sucks. Hey there, Japian. Hey there, Ned. Nah, it's normal. West Coast got hotter after 2008. I remember I wouldn't even see the sun some summers before that. Yeah, no, it's been like this for a while, but for some reason every older person I talk to in the city is like, oh, it's the heat wave. That's kind of odd. You know, it's surprising that there's so much heat this time of year. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not. This happens every time. Hey there, ya boy Hunter. Yeah, it's definitely summertime. Yeah, so I'm streaming from my new home, so the acoustics might be a little bit different. I haven't set everything up as well. I also have all my windows open and a fan in the background, which you probably can't see. I've still got a couple bins and stuff around, and my camera setup's not quite great, but I've made good progress on making this place habitable, so hopefully it's not too bad. It got hotter after 2018 and 2021, and will get hotter again in a few years. Yep, 2021 was hell. That was when it got up to like 40, right? Yeah, coastal BC had an insane record high only a couple of years back. Yeah, that was, not my favorite thing. I like it when it's nice and cool and I can warm myself up with my heater instead of having to try and cool it down with a fan I just bought from Best Buy for $100. The fan works, but I can't turn it on at max volume, otherwise all you hear is just We have rain season here, rain instead of heat. Honestly, I'd prefer that. I mean, it sucks for traveling, like, out of your house, but at least if you're in your house, then you can just, like, enjoy the little pitter-patter of the raindrops on the roof and not have to, stress out about anything. Then that town burnt down, I think, Lytton. Isn't that a Pokemon? Wait, was there actually a town that burnt down? BC? Hold on. Lytton. BC. Oh, that's a real place! Okay! 250 residents. Ah. Oh god, is Lytton being rebuilt? Wow. Destroyed most of Lytton, BC. Jesus Christ. That sucks. Was a real place. Are we winning? Well, we just started, and it's probably like 30 degrees in my room, so I don't feel like I'm winning yet. Oh, okay, this is the big test, okay? So, is the stream quality okay? Because I'm using software encoding today. Because if you remember, at the end of last stream, I tried to run my game, we got a GPU crash, and it just killed OBS because I was using hardware encoding. I'm gonna run the game again, and let's see if it breaks. Alright, here we go. And so we're gonna freeze for like 5 seconds. Ooh, okay. Okay, yeah. I just saw the stream go down to like 240p for a sec. Ooh, it's frozen on Twitch. Yeah, okay. Lagging is normal. Lagging is expected. It just froze my entire computer for 5 seconds, but we're still here. We're still here, good. And it's not like horribly desynced or anything from my voice. Because if that's good, then we can chill. Then we're relaxed. We're good. Twitch works? No? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Good. Yeah, so we're probably not gonna have a lot of that, because I think I know where the crash is coming from, but I wanted to make sure that I don't have to restart OBS every single time I do invoke a crash. You said audio sounds better than normal? Okay. I mean, I threw on a bunch of noise-canceling stuff, but in the past that's not been very good, because it's kind of, like, messed with my voice while I've been typing. So, yeah, just let me know if it gets worse. more large emojis. I can't believe that Twitch charges you for each of those, and I can't believe you're using them given that it charges you for each of those. You're a crazy person. Audio is less echoey? Yeah, the acoustics of this room in general are a lot better. I mean, like, the walls are a little bit more not basement-y, and there's a window open, which, I mean, probably lets more noise in, but also probably lets the echoes out? I don't actually know how audio works at all. Something that I'm really excited about, you can kind of see it a little bit just on the right edge there, that door. That's a walk-in closet, which means I can actually, like, record high-quality audio for YouTube videos, using the walk-in closet, which I'm really excited about, honestly. Oh, redeemed to hydrate, thank you. I like those better because they don't cost you real money. I actually, so, interestingly, I can't turn off those bit ones. Those are just global, those are site-wide. And they are non-disableable. And, like, I don't think any of them are bad, but, like, it's really weird to me that they're just, like, a thing that is, like, it's just a money sink for people that I can't get rid of. Oh, why did you made an angry on-screen celebration? Why would you do that to me? Yeah, just use the high-res one, that's weird. You would think that it would use, like, the highest res icon version. Okay, but enough fucking around. So, last stream, we got a bunch of crashes, and I think I know roughly where that is. But we're gonna find out first, by going to the renderer and just disabling the draw entities function. So, yeah, we're gonna disable all of the draw entity math, and we're just gonna see if it still crashes or not, because if it does still crash, then that's because of the memory allocation, and not because of the rendering. And I think it's because of the memory allocation, but it's good to make sure, right? So yeah, if we get another crash here, then it means that I'm allocating illegal memory, which would be consistent with Vulkan Error 2, which I've seen in the past. Oh! Okay. Okay, so no, it's not... Wait, remove 2 meshes from the mesh buffer, okay. Huh. Okay, this is interesting. So it's not an allocation error, it is a rendering error. So... Actually, I wonder... I could probably log how many meshes actually exist in the entity buffer. Because I believe, like, it's making meshes... Yeah, you see the constant removed meshes from the mesh buffer? Yeah, so that there is happening because it's creating entity meshes, but it's just not actually using them right now. Like, it's not rendering them. Whoa, that is a funky name color. The world's longest username? How did you get such, like, a deep red? Or is that just, like, my... Whoa. Welcome, and also thank you. Sorry. I still have a bit of a cough from, I got, like, COVID 3 weeks ago, and it's taking its sweet fucking time to go away. I'm feeling a lot better than last week. I know, like, I had a lot of kind of, like, just complete brain deadness last week. And that was definitely because I was still suffering from COVID. I feel mentally entirely normal now, I just have a little bit of cough sometimes. Do you know why some games use a special allocator for Vulkan? I would assume it's just because, like, when you... Like, Vulkan allows you to allocate memory in whatever way you want, right? There's no built-in Vulkan memory allocator. I'm using VMA, which is AMD's open source Vulkan allocator, which most people use. But it just allocates, I think, linear strips of memory, and then creates more allocations when you run out of space. So it's possible that a specialty allocator is useful for some games if they know they're going to be having meshes of very specific sizes, or they know exactly how much memory they're going to want to allocate beforehand, or something. Like, it's all because there's such low-level control, right? Like, that control allows them to do funky things if they want to, and that's not going to be useful for every game, but it might be useful for some of them. Oh, actually, I don't think that the entity meshes are being allocated, because those warnings there... or those debug messages were all from the chunk meshes being created, which means somewhere along the way my entity meshes aren't being created, which is worth figuring out why. I'm gonna put a log line and see if we're actually setting the appearance of the entity. Let's go debug setting entity appearance. I can spell, I swear. How is my voice when I'm typing, by the way? Because I know the noise cancelling has fucked that up in the past. Like, was I still comprehensible there? I keep ending up, like, off my camera. Okay. That made me even more uncentered. It's like it's zoomed in, but it's not. Okay, we're getting a lot of setting entity appearance. I can only... Oh, wait, that's gone? Wait, it's only when I'm looking at the sky. Wait. Ah. Okay, remove meshes from the mesh buffer, that's fine. When I look at this... But as soon as I look away, we get constant setting entity appearance. Oh! Oh, I bet I know what's happening. Hold on, let's go back to the player code. Wireframe. So if not this.target, and type does not equal node, then we set the wireframe to nothing. But if we do have a wireframe, then we have that commented out. Okay. That explains why it wasn't updating every frame. So I'm going to re-enable that. I'm going to disable the setting entity appearance flag. And additionally, what I want to do is my VK mesh buffer, I have a value for the number of meshes that are currently allocated. Do I have a getter for that anywhere? Oh, it's public. Okay. I want to debug how many meshes are actually active. Let's go into debug display. And a lot of this is commented out. It's kind of gross. Also, there's a lot of stuff in here that my linter is not happy with. And it's putting big red squigglies, even though they're technically warnings, but whatever, just fix a bulk of those right now. Okay, you want to hear the typing better? Keyboard ASMR? In the future that might be possible, but I can't do that right now because I need to have that fan muted. Otherwise it's gonna just be absolutely awful. Alright, I'm gonna just toss a new line in here. This is not the best debug script, to be honest. We're gonna just say, like, entity. And then we're gonna want to get mesh or game dot as client game. Not happy? Why are you not happy? Oh, is it because this is a pointer? I think so. No? What's wrong with it? It does implement pass down. False, not satisfied. Is client game a... Huh. Is client game like a partial? Hold on. Game is a game. Game.dimension 0. No matching member function called to apps. It should be able to do that. Well, let's just move... Oh, I think it is that client game isn't defined. Let's include client game. In here. There we go. Okay. Dot meshes. Come on, please give me any hint. Alright. Now let's go. So Mesh Atlas has a series of entity mesh buffers. We're gonna create a public function, just get num entity meshes. This is just for debugging, so it doesn't really matter how intuitive or whatever the naming is. And then in Mesh Atlas, we're just gonna have VK, Mesh Atlas, get num entity meshes, and we're going to go usize num is equal to 0 for let mesh or buffer of entity mesh buffers num plus equals buffer dot num meshes return num. Easy enough. Okay. Then in debug display, we're gonna go get num entity meshes. That should be entirely straightforward. Alright. Let's see how many entity meshes are being allocated. Hopefully what we should see is a slightly stuttery but mostly constant value, because the wireframes are going to be created, but then they should be deallocated as soon as they're no longer referenced. But I think it's just going to exponentially increase because I don't think I actually garbage collect the meshes. Currently there's 1. Currently there's still 1. There's absolutely more than 1 entity mesh right now. This is odd. That's weird. There should be more than 1 entity mesh, definitely. I know that, like, the one that it's flagging is the skybox. But... Huh, hold on. Let's go back to client scripted entity. And then on set appearance, if it is a wireframe, let's go debug setting wireframe. And let's just see what that does. Oh yeah, I've got this lovely art by Zepha in chat here. Oh, why is... Whoa, lag. Oh god. Whoa. Yeah, I've got this lovely art by Zepha, which is, I really like it. I like it a lot. If you haven't seen this art, check out zepha.art. Got some really cool stuff. You can plug your link in the chat if you want, Zeth. Maybe it's string compression, but there's a lot of aliasing artifacts when you're panning around. So my game is taking a lot of CPU right now because it's not super... It's in unoptimized mode right now because we're debugging Vulkan stuff. And because I was getting GPU crashes, I'm currently using software encoding. So yeah, there's a lot of not great stream quality right now. I wish I could make it better, but for this stream, that's probably all that we're gonna get. Specifically because I can't enable the hardware encoding because we're trying to figure out why my GPU is crashing. And if I'm using hardware encoding, then it kills the stream every time the GPU crashes. Hello, I've been enjoying watching the VODs. Glad to catch a stream. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you were enjoying the VODs. I found it really, really interesting. I did, like, my first simulcast on YouTube, like, the other day. And I was really surprised to see that people were watching the VODs. Like, no one watches VODs after they're created on Twitch, right? And that's been most of my experience. Oh, we're not actually setting the wireframe still. That's not good. Oh, because I didn't build the code? I'm not sure. Yeah, but no one watches the VODs on Twitch. And so I didn't really expect anyone to watch the VODs on YouTube. But that VOD that I made yesterday, or last week, got like 1,300 views. So that was cool. I mean, I'm glad people are like enjoying the content. I just never assumed that like people would watch live stream stuff not live. I guess it's just not something I personally do, so I was really surprised to see it, but it was exciting. Yeah, not really on Twitch, but I like to on YouTube. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, like, the Twitch VODs are temporary and they're kind of hidden, so I understand, like, they kind of just disappear. It was just not what I was expecting, and it was a welcome surprise. Hi there, Demetrius. How you doing? Okay, I just realized I actually need to build the game. Let's do that. Like, the actual mod script, because otherwise we're not setting we're not building the TypeScript that I put here that actually makes it set the wireframe, which explains why we weren't getting any meshes, kind of. Although, it's weird that set wireframe here... Oh, it's because we set appearance type to none if the length of the box is 0. Okay, that means we were never actually setting the wireframe here, so we might get a whole new realm of crashes when I start this. Have you mainly learned graphics programming through documentation? Yeah, so I kind of learned OpenGL flying by the seat of my pants and using learnopengl.org. But eventually, like recently, I tossed out all of the OpenGL code and I swapped to Vulkan because I was really frustrated with how OpenGL was performing and just its API being ancient and confused. Oh, okay, things are not right here, I don't think. Oh, wait, no, we're still good. So through Vulkan, I've been almost entirely learning Vulkan through the Vulkan docs, and then also the site learnvulkan.something dev. I think it's like learnvulkan.dev, which is a really good resource. But yeah, the Vulkan docs are so much more coherent than OpenGL's. OpenGL's are really not good. God, I'm already getting backed up on chat. Glad to hear you're doing good. Oh, fuck. Okay, that was a crash. Ooh, segmentation fault. I think I know exactly why, and I should restart the game and confirm. Nice, I'm pretty interested in learning too. My background is mainly data/machine learning related. That's cool. Are you doing like training neural models and stuff? I should keep up with the other chat too. I have 2 chat streams now because I'm doing the simulcasting. Ergonomically, YouTube is a much better platform than Twitch. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, Twitch has more features for live streaming. Like, it has like the bits and the like channel points and stuff that are generally pretty fun. But YouTube has just like a way better video watching experience in general, and I'm not sure why they aren't. Ooh, there's psych fault immediately. I'm not sure why they aren't focusing more on making that better. YouTube's VOD experience is much nicer, yeah. Hey there, Trixon! I saw you join my Discord the other day. First time chat, too. Hello, how are you doing? Sorry, that was, like, very weirdly robotic. My game crashed, like, the moment I was saying that, and then my head went immediately to, why is that happening, and not to being social. Yeah. TensorFlow and PyTorch, ooh, cool. I've not done much machine learning stuff. I find, like, the idea of training your own model almost seems like... I worry that, like, I don't have the time for it, because it takes, like, multiple days to train a proper model, right? And I turn off my computer when I go to bed, and, I don't know. I was just like, this seems inconvenient. But the idea of it seems really cool. Are you trying to trick us into thinking she isn't a robot? Look, okay, I need you to believe that so that I get my human rights. If people think I'm a robot, then I don't, and that sucks. Google doesn't make things better, they abandon stuff and launch more things because that's what's rewarded. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely am not a huge fan of Google's business policies, but at least YouTube is a fairly coherent platform to use. I think it works fairly well. You can train a couple 100,000 data points in minutes. Really depends on what kind of model. Fair enough, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not gonna be training an artificial general intelligence in my room anyways. Yeah, if it's a large data set, it can be like 10 hours sometimes. Yeah. I should probably just, like, stop being so... Ooh, okay, more seg fault. I need to figure out what's causing that. I can run it in debug mode, I think. Debug... How do I actually... Is it CMake debug? Let's see what happens. I don't know. I don't know anything here. I swapped over from CLion to VS Code recently, and so everything is new and confusing and horrible. Hey there, Test? I'm surprised you have the name Test. I guess names aren't unique on YouTube, are they? Like, anyone can have the same name, right? Is Vulkan approachable for a mid-level graphics dev? I don't like OpenGL API either. It's definitely, like, a ton more work. There's, like, a lot of boilerplate, and there was a lot of upfront learning. It took me a couple weeks to really understand what the hell was going on at all. But it's definitely, like, I really enjoy it. I'm not, like, a master of graphics programming by any means. I just kind of try and figure things out on the fly. And, like, I've gotten this going so far, so I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth trying to learn. Okay. Where is my seg fault? There it is. What's wrong? What happened? Do I get to see it? Oh, I need to... Okay, I need to kill the actual game, because I'm using SDL's mouse capture function, which I thought would be convenient, because it just handles all of the mouse resetting logic for me. But what it actually does is it sets like a flag on the window, and if the window crashes or gets frozen by the debugger, then I actually can't release my mouse from it, because SDL won't update to let the mouse go away, and my operating system won't let the mouse go away either, so I need to actually kill it with, like, htop, which is kind of annoying. Are you using TypeScript for game development? Kind of, yes. So, this is my Voxel engine, and it's built in C++. But the whole idea is that it's like a minimal engine that only handles like the important graphics stuff and like world loading and persistence and things, and all of the actual content is JavaScript defined. So I have like registries for everything. So all of the blocks and all of the entities and all of the, even like the player movement and stuff, it all goes through JavaScript APIs. And I type it in TypeScript because I'm not that much of a masochist, and then compile it into JavaScript and use it. And the reason I'm doing that is mainly because I want to be able to send mods over the network without having to worry about security, because I'm using V8, which is the same JavaScript runtime that Chrome uses, and they've invested obviously a lot of energy into making sure that that's very well sandboxed, so you don't get viruses from just going to websites. And also because I really like the idea of people eventually being able to mod in WebAssembly, meaning that they could program in any language that they wanted, pretty much, as long as it can compile into WASM, and then it can still be a mod. I've been trying to learn Web GPU the last few weeks. My goal is to make a voxel render, but it's taking a while. I haven't looked too much into Web GPU because I was a little bit disappointed that like a new graphics spec came out that wasn't based on OpenGL or Vulkan right after I learned Vulkan. Like, WebGL made a lot of sense to me because it was the same API as OpenGL. But like WebGPU feels weird that it's like its own entirely different thing. Like, is it good though? Like, I don't have anything to say it's bad, I just haven't used it. Everything you said just went over my head, sorry. Basically I'm using JavaScript for all of the game content, like the blocks and the entities and stuff, so that I can send mods over the network and run them like they're a web page, like script in a web page, so that the mods can't get out and fuck with your computer. I'm getting another site fault with materials by hash. Ooh, I should be in streamer mode. One sec. Streamer mode on. There we go. That's better. Yeah, because I've been getting repeated site faults here, and I'm not sure why. It's in the index flag of the map. If you try to index a non-existing thing, but this is setting value. Like, this is assigning material hash. Weird. That's very, very strange. Is my code open source? Unfortunately, not for this project. It used to be a long time ago, but it's getting a lot closer to release, and I really would like to be able to live off of game development, and I'm worried that if I make it open source right now, then I'm gonna be shooting myself in the foot in the future. If it was possible to, like, live off of crowdfunding and donations while making games, I would absolutely love to open source this project. But I don't trust that right now. Like, if I'm in a better financial situation in the future, I'll consider it. But like right now, I'm living in a kind of expensive city and I have a job because I need to live. And I would like to not have that job, so hopefully I can maybe make some money off of this. Yeah, I was just, sorry, I wasn't like upset or anything, I was just explaining my rationale, because I think it's an interesting topic, because I really like open source software, right? and a lot of the stuff I do is open source, and it feels kind of weird that the biggest project I make isn't. I do want people to be able to use it, for the record. Like, all of this JavaScript mod stuff isn't just for me. It is, like, so that other people can make their own games and stuff as well. It's just, I don't think I'm gonna let the actual C++ guts out open source right now. Hold on, there's more web GPU stuff. It kind of makes sense. Web GPU is an abstraction over all the possible GPU APIs. That makes sense to me. My reasoning for learning it is that I daily run a Mac and it uses Metal, Vulkan, and DirectX under the hood. I trust web GPU devs to make a better abstraction layer over those APIs than I can do. I learned OpenGL before, but it was deprecated on Mac and is missing a lot of modern features. I mean, that's a good rationale for sure, yeah. I mean, like, when I made the swap to Vulkan, I basically just decided that I wasn't gonna bother trying to support Mac. Like, it kind of sucks that there's one less platform, but they refuse to support the modern APIs, and if they're going to do that, I don't really care. Also, they make like a 1% market share of gamers, so, you know, I would love to support all the platforms, but if, like, on an OS level, they're not gonna let me use the open source APIs that everyone else is using, that's not chill. I don't know, I'm not a fan of that. And I really wanted low-level memory access, so that's why I'm here with Vulkan. I need to figure out some materials by hash. That's a local map. Is this like a big map? Like, it's created here. Wait, hold on. It only sets one material here. Because this is the entity mesh and it only supports one material right now. So maybe material is invalid. It's a shared pointer. Let's see. This should be fine. All textures.getMaterial does is it hashes it, checks if it already exists in the map, then if it doesn't, then it creates a new one. I wonder if I'm, like, exhausting the IDs already? This is a size type, so, like, that would be really weird. New material with ID. Okay, materials by hash is equal to mat.get. Materials that in place back mat. Oh, I do wonder, so materials by hash there. The way that the C++ map works is if you try to index assign like this and the value already exists, then it won't assign it. But that should be handled up here. We should be able to find the value and then return it and not place back. And then this is a weak pointer. Hey there, Love Street, how you doing? It's all good. I was trying to figure out how TypeScript C++ work together. I can do some research on it later. Thank you for explaining. Yeah, no problem. Okay, never seen the syntax. What language is this? This is C++. I've just done some horrible things. Like, let is actually auto, but I like the word let. And debug is a macro. And in general, I just do a lot of weird shit to make the ergonomics of C++ a little bit better. And also a little bit more incomprehensible for anyone else. But I'm the only one working on this project, so, you know. So update material data. I'm really not sure why this could be segfaulting, but I'm just gonna put a bunch of prints around. Hey there, Kojaks. Currently sad, have an exam on the 16th. Are you, you're in university, I assume? I think you've told me that. What year are you in? I'm gonna print out debug material ID material.id. Oh, fooled you. Oh, did you think it was Rust or something? Yeah, I wish I could do Rust stuff, but this project has like 70,000 lines of code, and I'm not prepared to throw those out right now. Third year, it's the last 2 exams before you graduate. Oh! Wait, you only have 3 years to get your bachelor's? That's interesting. It's all 4-year programs here. Okay, so right now we've got 236 materials, which is not very many. Is it gonna, like, fucking explode? Oh, wait, hold on. Material ID 238, so it's taking the existing material that was defined here, which is what I would expect. Oh wait, now it's on 239. Okay. 240. Oh. Okay, and we got our crash. We got our crash at printing the material ID. Alert, we saw your message and notification. Wait, what? Hold on. Did I just, like, open my notification tray and... Oh, my mom, huh? Oh, that's funny. Hold on. I'll throw that in Do Not Disturb. So many different places where notifications can pop up. Ooh, this is exciting though, hold on. My mom might visit me later. I'm gonna quickly respond to her. Yeah, that would be great. When would you be here? Yeah, I might see my mom. She lives in a different city than me, so it's been a while. That'll be cool. Consider myself dogs. I don't think that shared any information I haven't already shared. People know I live in Victoria, so I'm not too concerned. Out of curiosity, why did you end up choosing JavaScript over the classical scripting languages like Lua or Wasm? Okay, so Lua, I used Lua for a couple years actually, and eventually threw it out because I was really... Ari has a mother, write that down. I was really annoyed that it just was completely atrophying. Like, Lua, the core language, is just really slow, and then LuaJIT, which is what makes it actually good, has basically not been updated for like 3 years. Or at least it wasn't at the time that I dropped it. Maybe it's more updated now. But I also just was really annoyed by how it was global first, and it generally had a lot of weird design decisions that I wasn't a huge fan of. Like, there's not very good scoping. I do miss its operator overloading. JavaScript doesn't have that, and that sucks. But that's why I didn't choose Lua. Or I guess I did choose Lua, and then I chose not to. And then Wasm, like, this basically is Wasm. But to make Wasm work for, like, a scripting language, you need to have a JavaScript API for it to glue to. So, writing the JavaScript API is basically writing a Wasm API as well. And then I'm currently developing in JavaScript just because it's very easy right now. I haven't decided what language I'm actually going to make the game I'm making in this in. I was thinking Rust. Like Rust compiled to WebAssembly, but I might also just do it in JavaScript because JavaScript is very easy, and I'm a web developer as well, so I know its quirks. Yay, Rust! Yeah, I really like Rust. Zithia redeemed Hydrate? Oh no. Okay, fine. Rust, Wasm, JS, C++, Parkour meme. Yeah, that's basically the journey, isn't it? It's so weird that WebAssembly has so many kind of steps. But, yeah. Oh, posture check too. Fine. I think my posture's actually pretty good. I mean, I'm kind of sweating in this chair because of how fucking hot it is, but I can't really do anything about that. Maybe next stream I'll get my exercise ball so I don't have to have my back against leather. Okay. So there is a psych fault here, which is weird, because get material should have printed first. Like, if we go to get material, that should have printed here. Oh wait, but it might not be a new material. Hold on. Let's go existing material. And if we get a site fault here, we know that what's actually happening is that this may be existing, which is a shared pointer, so it should be in there. Or at least existing.second. Oh, it's a raw pointer. Oh, fuck. Okay, that's probably where the site fault's coming from. Yep, it's probably getting deleted, and then I'm not deleting it from that array, but we'll find out. Let's just, make the game run, please? I'm pressing the debug button and it's not going. Okay, fine. I'll do it through the command palette. I don't care. Yeah, I should probably just use the do not disturb button on my system. That's quite convenient. Oh, one sec. I just need to respond to them. Okay. Cool, so now if we do this, and I trigger a crash, okay, material ID 238, existing material 238. I bet this material is bullshit. Maybe. Hold on. Let's kill the game. Okay, so we got our seg fault here after existing material ran, but existing material... Huh. Oh shit, thank you for the community sub, Sith. Or the gift sub, the community sub gift, the sub gifting of gift subs. Okay, wait, what is this? Materials by hash. It maps a usize to a raw pointer. Okay. Already sus. I don't trust that. If maybe existing exists, then we take the ID, and then we use that to key into materials, where we get the weak pointer. And then we... Why? Wait, what? This is... Wait, so this is the pointer. What the fuck? Wait, why am I doing it like this? Why is it like this? I don't store a shared pointer of the material anywhere? Oh, because it's ref counted. So mat is there, then we place it back into materials the weak pointer. We place the raw pointer back into materials by hash. Then I update the material data with the pointer and return the pointer. And then here we get material as a shared pointer. We put it in materials by hash. Materials by hash stores a shared pointer, okay. Then we place it back into materials, which is where exactly? In the mesh, okay. And then we add the buffered mesh. Okay, so it should exist as long as our entity mesh sticks around. And then the moment that hold on. So I guess first question is, when I lose the material, how does it delete it from the... How does it delete it from the mesh buffer? Does it just not? Because we create a material with make shared. Does material have a destructor? No. Okay. I think we found the problem, guys. I don't delete the materials. When a material gets deleted, it just sticks around in materials by hash as a raw pointer. I guess we just... That's not... This code doesn't make sense. Why did I do it like this? What is wrong with me? Okay. Let's make this a little bit less shit. Instead of sticking a raw pointer in materials by hash, which to my knowledge is only used in here, yeah, we're gonna instead stick an index into materials, which is still only gonna store a weak pointer. Okay, then that means materials second is going to be the ID, and we're gonna try and get the existing one. If we can lock it, we're good. Okay. Return existing. Else, we're going to... I guess we don't need an else, because it's early returning. I'm actually gonna bracket this, though, just to get some logging here. So, we're going to log that there's an existing material. Otherwise, we're going to warn material deleted. Maybe existing dot second. And we're going to set materials by hash. Materials by hash dot erase. Maybe existing. And that should get rid of it. And then we can drop down into here. And we should also delete it from materials. Materials ID is equal to... No. Oh, maybe existing second equal to null pointer. This is a weak pointer array, right? Yeah, okay. I guess I just do reset. Yeah. That'll reset the pointer. Okay. Do I have, like, an empty space list? No. That is something I should do. To do... create a list of freed material indices to populate first. That's not something we need to do right now, but yeah. Then we're gonna set materials by hash to ID. Okay, and hopefully we shouldn't have horrible memory crises anymore. Let's try this again. Because yeah, that was stupid as hell. I had my pointer, and when the pointer got freed, the data was collected. But then we had the material pointer still in materials by hash, but now it's pointing to junk data. And then we index it, and then of course it gets confused and crashes the game, right? So this should free up the seg fault here, at least. Probably won't fix the Vulkan issue, but we found another bug, so that's good. Spinning in circles. No seg fault occurring. This is good. We're creating new material IDs. Are we ever deleting the materials? Material deleted? I don't see material deleted. Let's see, hold on. Can I not search? Material deleted. Oh yeah, okay. We're deleting materials. Okay, that's a good sign. Okay. I probably didn't delete the mesh, or I probably haven't created a list yet of deleted materials to reset because of the way that Vulkan is asynchronous. So basically, if I delete a material, it might not be used by anything actively in memory anymore, but there might still be a mesh that is pending render that needs that material. So basically, we need to have a sync point in the GPU to say, okay, we know the GPU's done all of the commands that actually use this material, and now we can clear them out. I already have that with the mesh, like the buffered mesh for the meshes, but I haven't implemented that yet for the materials. That's something I will definitely do, but it's not critical right now. We're increasing our indices a little bit, like, let me down at the bottom. Like, yeah, you can see that, when I look up and down, it creates new material indices, Because as soon as I'm not looking at the ground, it deletes the mesh that we're currently rendering, which is the wireframe, which again is not displaying at all right now. But in the future, it should actually render. And then when we go to recreate it, we have to create a new material. Because since the wireframe was the only thing using that material, it gets cleaned up. And since we don't currently reuse indices, it has to create a new one, even though there's a bunch of empty material indices, which again is not ideal, but we can fix that later. The important thing is we don't have fucked up memory now. So I can remove all of these log lines. So if existing, return existing, otherwise reset the material, and I'm just gonna write to do flag the material for deletion in the material data array and free the index when on sync. Okay, we don't need to log about new material ID, that's fine. All of this should be stable. We're technically still uploading the old material data, because this uploads from this array here of GPU scripts, and we don't delete it from there. But that doesn't actually matter. This region of memory is going to exist no matter what. If we're not using that section of it, we don't need to clear it. Like, it's okay if it's still there. It's junk data, effectively, now, because nothing points to it. But as long as we know it's not actively being used, we can just overwrite it later. Yeah, I don't need to debug the material ID. I don't need to debug setting wireframe. Cool. Okay, that should be all the big log lines that are spamming the chat. Also, for fuck's sake, I just called the terminal the chat. Oh, I'm terminally online, guys. I'm terminally online. Okay. So... Right. Now we need to figure out why the Vulkan crash actually exists. The program chat. Yeah, it's talking to me. Oh my god, what is my diff here? I'm gonna... Work in progress, buffered, entity matches. I don't even know what's in this commit, but the diff is not ideal. Terminally chatting, yeah. Too much Discord. I call everything chat now. Nothing's real. Wow. Jesus. I don't know, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, just that I'm doing, the simulcasting, but there's been, a lot more viewership on these streams recently. I was averaging, 14 viewers, and we've got 29 right now across both platforms. That's slightly terrifying. Hi, everyone. Okay, so... Hello, chat. Let's re-enable the draw entities function, because there's a chance that the memory corruption happening earlier was actually what was crashing Vulkan. I don't think that's true. I think we just found and fixed an independent bug. But it's worth a shot, right? It's not going to crash OBS, because I'm stuck using software encoding, so, no harm, no foul. Let's see what happens. Found your stream through the YouTube algorithm a couple days ago. Yeah, that was a big part of the reason I wanted to do some streaming on YouTube, was because... Oh, okay, computer freeze. Yeah, are we back? Are we back? Ooh. Oh. Interesting. Oh! Wait. Yeah, no, that's because of the Vulkan crash, but the place that it accepted is weird. Also, the fact that I don't have debugger is annoying. There it is. Yeah, sorry, I did sort of want to start streaming on YouTube, because I know that it actually recommends streams to people, whereas Twitch doesn't particularly do that. You can see me again now, right? We're good now? I lost the device? What do you mean I lost the device? Yeah, I'm still live. You guys are crazy. Okay, so... Oh, God. It's so hot in this room and it's making it very hard to think. Okay, I need to test something. If I max out the fan, you need to tell me how horrible it is. I'm going slightly crazy. Let me know how bad the audio is. Did it get significantly worse? Or am I allowed to have a little bit of life in my soul right now? Usually when this error happens, it's a device lost error. Interesting. Oh, no noise at all. Okay, that's a real relief right now. Because, oh my god. No voice changes. Great. Yeah, so... A device lost error? Do you have any idea why that might happen? Because it happened at the wait for fences here. The max timeout... I believe this is 1 second, because this is in nanoseconds, right? Oh, thank you for the water, Zeph. I'm only allowed to drink if you hydrate, so you better hydrate. Kidding. Yeah, I'm gonna quickly refill my water, because it's empty. 1 second. I'll be like 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Thank you for bearing with me. A TDR and page fault are the most common causes for device loss. I understand page fault. Timeout detection and recovery? TDR? Is that just like high latency on the graphics card? Oh, is it just auto-killing when it runs out of, like... Or when it can't get a response after a while? Yeah, Too much time spent doing one thing, usually 2 seconds. Okay. And a page fault is when I access memory in a region that I'm not supposed to, right? I suspect that's more likely, because I added some new shit here that does weird things, and I wasn't particularly careful when I wrote it. Yeah. Out-of-bounds buffer accesses. That's what I'm expecting. I was trying to do instanced and, indirect rendering at the same time, I think? And I don't even know if that's possible. I just tried it. Alright, no, I'm not doing, indirect yet. I was just trying to do instance, but with a buffer mesh. And it's probably all the indices that are fucked up. So I have my push constants, which are just the memory addresses for all these things. Why do I do a new push constant for every entity? That's not good. Yeah, I guess I do that. Huh. Wait, no, that's fine. Push constants are fine for that, right? Page fault just means the OS needs to map a page of virtual memory. Page fault isn't the same thing as a segmentation fault or an access violation. So am I not looking for a memory issue, or am I still looking for a memory issue? Because I'm definitely expecting it to be somewhere in here. Sorry, still a memory issue, no worries. Yeah, because I'm pushing the entity push constants, and I'm guessing it's this vertex and index offset here. So I just kind of threw these around. Also trying to access an image at an invalid location. I don't think it would have to do with textures. I'm using the same texturing system that I'm always using. So I'm assuming that's okay. Yeah, this is in CPU land though. Page fault in GPU land is death. Yeah. What game engine am I using? I'm not using any game engine. I'm using my game engine. This is, my own original OC. It's horrible. Yeah, it's, I built it from the ground up using C++ and Vulkan and, SDL for window management, currently. I started with OpenGL and GLFW, but I dropped those recently. Yeah, so I'm assuming this bind index buffer... So, an important detail here is that both of these are the same buffer. The index and the vertex buffer are the same, because in my buffered mesh I store both the indices and vertices in one buffer. That worked fine for indirect rendering. I'm assuming that wouldn't break indexed rendering, right? Hopefully. And then... So... It's gonna use the same... No, it's fine. Okay, good. It's going to use the same data for all the instances, so I only need to worry about drawing one thing here. Slightly unergonomic, if you ask me. I'm trying to reduce the amount of, like, memory, like, binds and swaps as much as possible. Like, I could... I could bind a separate instance buffer, but... Yeah, Horsier web app, hi, what's your dev tools? I'm currently using Visual Studio Code. I am also using RenderDoc for debugging graphic stuff. And I sometimes use Valgrind. Oh, spam bot, wow. I'm so surprised that these messages get through. Like, they're very obviously spam. There we go. I deleted them. Okay, so... We need to bind the index buffer. Command.main. Mesh.buffer, buffer, buffer. Thank you. I love my naming scheme. It's perfect and has no problems whatsoever. Because this takes a VK mesh buffer, which is this. Yeah. So I also have buff.buffer.buffer up here. I know how to write words. So then the offset's going to be the index offset, which needs to be... Wait, what is this offset here? I assume this is... Okay, this is the offset into, like, the draw command's buffer, right? And then each draw command is computed elsewhere. So we're not doing indirect rendering here. We're just using indexing. But that means that Okay, so mesh.indexCount is probably correct. Instance count is the number of meshes we want to render. First index is 0, vertex offset is 0, and first instance is 0. I assume I can leave those as is, because we're offsetting the buffers using the index offset and the vertex offset, right? Like if I look at this definition, it takes the command buffer, first binding, binding count, buffers, and offset. So we've got... Where did my renderer go? Why do I have so many things open? I don't need this to keep talking to me about its error. So, yeah, we have first binding 0, binding count 1, and this is the buffer, and it's just a reference to it because it expects an array, but that's fine, because it's just a 1 buffer, right? And then vertex offset being passed into here, and this is in bytes, so that's going to be index offset in index type, and then vertex offset in the vertex type. So that should be fine. But it's possible that I have the type of the entity mesh wrong. Let's go to, like, wireframe real quick. I'm creating an entity mesh vertex data of vertices. And then I pass in... Oh wait, no, meshes... Meshes is... Oh, the mesh atlas, okay. Then we call mesh with an entity mesh data. Yeah. And this is all vertex data. Yeah, entity mesh vertex data. Oh, but I think I need to use vertex, not vertex data. Right. Because vertex data is what it is on the CPU, I'm pretty sure. When I actually go to make shared here, when I create the mesh, I add the mesh info, where this here is vertex, entity mesh vertex. Okay, so that's where at least a memory error is. We're passing in entity mesh vertex data, which is of size 72, when we should be passing size of entity mesh vertex, which is size 76. So let's see if that helps at all. Oops, hold on. Yeah, we're going to end up... This might end up with another GPU crash, so it might freeze the stream for a few seconds. Just bear with me, it'll come back in a moment. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully we're ballin', maybe. Yeah, oh my god! Okay, it didn't crash. It didn't crash. Was that the only issue? I swear to fuck. Okay, let's see if the wireframes render. Ooh, okay, no wireframes rendering. But also no psych fault. So I'm gonna count that as an improvement, for sure. I'm just gonna keep running around in circles real quick and seeing if I can induce a psych fault. Because there was a few times where, like, I was getting psych faults after, like, running around for a while. And I assume that was because of the material corruption, actually. Because it usually would happen after I was running around for a while looking at stuff, then I'd look into the sky and look back down, which would trigger the wireframe mesh to be deleted, and then it would cause it to be accessed after it was deleted, which, you know, would cause the issue. But yeah, so we know at least some meshes, our entity meshes are rendering, because the skybox is an entity mesh. It's an entity, so... Okay. Okay. This is a good sign. And I'm not getting the psych fault either. We're getting a lot of meshes removed in chat. In console. God damn it. I have to go to work now. Have a great rest of your stream. Thank you. Have a good day at work. It's my Saturday and I just worked all week, so I'm enjoying just kind of chilling out here and doing some nice casual extreme debugging of memory errors in Vulkan, as I do. Yeah, the fact that it was just like a memory error because of my vertex mesh data instead of being like the vertex, that makes me think that I should probably have a better naming scheme. Like, instead of it being called vertex data, it should be called like vertex spec or something. Today's your Friday? Very nice, yeah. Hell yeah. I hope you have a good weekend. Yeah, so I should probably rename that type, but of course I'm not gonna do it because I'm lazy, and this is probably gonna happen in the future. But yeah, so we have at least one mesh rendering, but we're not getting the wireframe meshes, which is definitely not correct. So time to debug what meshes are actually being generated, I think. So we don't need debug mode anymore. Or not what are being generated, but what are being called. So draw entities gets called in client dimension, which runs over all the entity appearance groups. So let's just log entity group, and then can I get root.second. Oh wait, that entity iterator. We're gonna have group dot. Oh, why don't I use entity iterator anywhere here? I could be doing it here. Let's go int it get. Do I have like a name or something in here? Probably not. No, I don't think so. I guess get model. No. So the meshes have identifiers, but I don't think I can actually get them anywhere. Like entity mesh, yeah, it doesn't have an identifier here. But I know for a fact in like client scripted entity, when I set it to wireframe, is this Godot? No, it's my own engine that I built in C++. When we go wireframe create, when I create the entity mesh, it takes a name. What does it do with that name? Entity identifier? I don't think it does anything with it other than just debug code. I should probably actually print that or store that somewhere so I can access it. I'm glad, yeah, I've been working on this since 2018, which is like 6 years now, which is kind of horrifying, but I've really been enjoying the process. I've got like 70,000 lines of code here across like a bajillion files. There's a lot of stuff to this engine, but it's getting closer to functioning, which is really exciting. I'm gonna store the identifier. The entity meshes identifier used for debugging. Theoretically, this shouldn't be a big deal. The strings are all very short, and for anything other than wireframes, we're only going to have the identifier exist once per mesh instance. So hopefully this shouldn't affect memory very much. I think I was just prematurely optimizing by not storing this. I'm gonna go this identifier is equal to identifier. Wait, hold on. Yeah, no, that's fine. Am I using TypeScript? Notice a few TypeScript files. Yes, so the core engine is built in C++, but it runs V8, which is Google's JavaScript runtime, or Google's JavaScript engine, I suppose. And all of the actual mod content is defined in JavaScript. Or sorry, all of the game content is just defined in JavaScript mods. So like, for example, if I go to like nodes.ts, these are all of the blocks in the game. They're all being added to an item registry. My type defs are kind of fucked right now, because TypeScript is not behaving as it should, but yeah, so these are all of the nodes, and then they also have like events to them. The player as well is actually entirely in JavaScript. The controls are bound using an action atlas, and then it is an entity, which is processed by C++, but it can be directed by JavaScript. And yeah, it's all scripted code. And the reason I want to do that is so that I can send mods to clients over the network without having to worry about viruses and malicious code. So that you can just join a server and then get the game content. That's cool. Do you generate bindings or do them manually? Currently I generate bindings. They're not super intense. Like if I look at item.ts, this is the definition for the item atlas. So we have the item def, which is these three structures, which are still a little bit unfinished because the engine's still very heavily in process, or in progress. And then there is world events, oops, which are just like a type. Why do I keep clicking that? And then we have the actual item atlas here, which I have like a bunch of interfaces because most of the engine uses the same kind of like actual type signature. This eventful item atlas, it basically has bind and unbind methods and omit methods for executing events, and then it extends just like the regular atlas interface, which has definitions and tags and the ability to get definitions and then add them and remove them. But yeah, this is all just TypeScript type files that I wrote manually. Then the actual atlas interface module is this, and it's in V8, and it just has a bunch of native function bindings, which were horrible to write, but now that they're done, they're done. So, you know. I initially started this project working with Lua instead of JavaScript, and the bindings were a lot easier to define, but Lua also gave me so much less flexibility, and I really like the amount of control I get over the JavaScript runtime with V8, so I'm willing to put up with a bit of kind of gross. Right, I was trying to print out the entity's name. Let's do that. Yeah, that makes sense. I use AngelScript for similar reasons. I don't think I've ever heard of AngelScript. Interesting. Oh, it's another... Oh, very interesting. It's another scripting language. Is it fast? Is there any, like, examples of its use? Like, I'm trying to find an example of it. Design is pretty old school, designed for C++ integration. That makes sense. That's really cool, though. I assume it's entirely sandboxed? It's been in a ton of shipping games. Oh, I assume you mean games that have shipped and not games that focus around the act of shipping, I hope. Right. Entity group blank. Non-mesh is 1. Interesting. Maybe the skybox just doesn't have a name? No, it looks like it's just not printing right. Huh. Oh, no worries, I was just making a joke. I wonder why the identifier isn't working. So, mesh.identifier is in here, in entity mesh. And this is a constructor. I set this .identifier to identifier. I'm gonna debug creating mesh with identifier. For the record, these debug macros, they're just they basically just stdc out, and then they grab whatever you put in the function. Macros in C++ are cool because unless you use like a comma, or I think even if you do use a comma, it doesn't split the parameters, meaning that I can have all sorts of weird funky syntax, like I can use the streaming operator here, because technically it's being embedded into the middle of this cout function. And that will just work, where you could not do that in normal C++, because it's all string interpolation stuff. And it's just nice for ergonomics, and I can just, on release mode, disable all of those functions, or those macros fairly easily. Creating mesh with identifier blank. Very odd, why would it be blank? So, let's look at the actual call site. Client scripted entity. When we call set appearance to model, which is for the skybox, we know we're setting the skybox. Then we call mesh def.make. Oh, because it's being set to nothing right here. That's not ideal. Huh. Okay. The model has an identifier. I know the model does. So, yeah, appearance.model here is a string. So I should be sending appearance.model into here, probably. Because then at least I can tell what's happening. I think it's technically supposed to be the entity identifier, not the model identifier. But currently this isn't used for anything, so... Yeah, okay. Entity group Zeus default skybox, num mesh is 1. So... we're definitely creating the skybox mesh, but we're not creating the wireframe mesh. Or at least we're not rendering the wireframe mesh. Does make entity mesh do something that wireframe doesn't? Does it add it to the dimension somewhere? Doesn't look like it. Hash is a string view of S. S is the texture UIDs. Okay, that's good. Oh, fucking Christ, it's hot in here. Ugh, I don't like living in a second-story building right now. Oh, okay. Cool. So, right. So right now, our wireframe is created. And then... yeah, it just started getting so toasty. Yeah, it's a lot. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, so... dimension as client dimension, handle entity set appearance. Client scripted entity, oh thank you. Oh, fuck, 2 hydrates from Zeph. Sorry, Zeph. Double water. 1. 2. Okay. For the record, I'll probably stop the stream in about half an hour, because I am just, like, melting. But I do want to get this done first. And then I think after that I'm gonna go downstairs and lie comatose on the ground until I lower my body temperature. On-screen celebration. Okay, so handle entity set appearance. This happens no matter what. Oh, no it fucking doesn't. Because I have a return statement here. Why did I have a return statement here? Okay, so that causes handle entity set appearance to never run. And this is effectively what binds the entity to the dimension, which is necessary for having the entity render. Because the dimension needs to know what entities are in it so that it can batch and render them. Okay. So now, if I go stare at the ground... wireframe! Oh my god! Okay. Okay. That is an entity that is being rendered. Oh my fucking god. While we're trading then was just being comatose this morning and opened my project now. Yeah, it goes back and forth. When one person taps out from the heat, the other person, like, recovers. Is that what's happening? Okay. I'm getting so much debug output. I should probably observe this. I don't think anything is happening that shouldn't be. But it's worth checking for sure. It's weird that, like, the entity count goes from 1 to 3 when I look here. Oh wait, no, that's actually not that crazy, because what's probably happening is we're creating a wireframe every frame, which is an optimization that I could definitely improve on in the future. Like, it doesn't need to create it every frame, but that is what's happening. And then every frame, it's also effectively deleting the old one. But there's going to be a 1-frame lag time to that, because the GPU needs to tell the mesh block, like the buffered meshes, that it's done using that mesh. So basically we create one mesh, and then the next frame we tell it that it can be deleted, and then create another mesh. But then it's not until the frame after that that it actually is able to delete it, meaning that there's always 2 meshes for this wireframe that are active at once, because one of them's in use by the GPU and the other one's the new one that's about to be used by the GPU. So that's why it says there's 2 meshes. And that's not as big of a problem as I would tend to think it is, because that only will happen if you're creating a mesh every single frame, right? So, like, if you have just one mesh for, like, an entity, or even just several meshes for several entities, they're only ever going to be using one mesh. It's just that there is a 1-frame lag time from when you stop using it to when it actually gets deleted. Technically, that could be more than 1 frame if you've got a really weird GPU setup. Like, it is generalized. If the GPU for some reason needs that mesh for, like, several game frames, it can have it. But in almost all scenarios, it's going to get deleted pretty much immediately. Okay. I want to take a look at this debug output just to make sure nothing weird is happening. Mesh is not cleaned up. Mesh is not cleaned up. Destroyed game. Mesh buffer! Exclamation mark. I'm sure that means something. And then segmentation fault core done. Yeah, that's not surprising. I haven't handled the cleanup logic for the Vulkan stuff yet. Okay, entity group wireframe, number of meshes 1. Entity group skybox, number of meshes 1. Removed 1 mesh from the mesh buffer. That would be the previous wireframe. Creating mesh with identifier wireframe. Okay, so this is all normal debug logic. Or I guess normal debug output, which I'm going to comment out because I don't want it spamming me. Mesh buffer. It's good to know that the mesh buffer is actually removing stuff. I don't entirely know why that's working, because... Oh yeah, right here, if debug mode is on, track cleanups and report memory leaks. In the destructor, it says if it's created to freak out. I'm gonna... Was deleted while underlying memory still wasn't cleaned up. Mesh buffer deleted without cleaning up underlying memory. There we go. But yeah, I think it's because... I'm gonna actually just change this to if removed greater than 1. If we want... I think I want to know if it's deleting a lot of meshes still. I think it's because this is actually triggered by an event listener. Yeah, I set an event listener on the renderer, so it doesn't need to be pinged. It'll get, like, or it doesn't need to pull, is what I'm trying to say. It'll get pinged, which is good. Okay, and then entity mesh CPP line 26. Oh man, I forgot I put the, like, file names here, and I can just click those in VS Code. That's so nice. Okay. I'm excited about this. I can't click these because they're info. They're not debug. I should be using debug. But I know they're in client dimension. Yeah, I already turned those off. So if I run it again, and let's actually run it in release mode so that we can see it working. rel with debug info. This is gonna require a full build, which is a bit unfortunate, but it'll make sure that there's not any weird bullshit that's happening between debug and release, which is something that never should be a problem, but always tends to become a problem at the worst possible time, if you know what I mean. Like, where it's like you've been developing for who knows how long, and you're just like, okay, we're fine here. You know, everything's working, and then you swap to release mode, and suddenly it just doesn't work at all. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna let this finish spinning. I can tell the build's a bit slower because I'm using CPU encoding. I could actually swap that now. Here, I'm gonna quickly restart the stream in hardware encoding. Actually, wait, no. I don't know how that's gonna affect the YouTube VOD, and I don't want to end up with fragmented VODs, so I'll just do that after the stream. It shouldn't actually matter, like, it's just causing my builds to be a little bit slower. I don't think it affects you guys at all. Like, judging by Twitch's preview here, it looks like the stream is a normal frame rate and quality. It's just OBS is really hitting my, my CPU right now. My i7 10th gen is a little bit... Ooh, look at that! Maxed out. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we're in really small... Oh god, it's VS Code crashed. Hold on. I'm gonna reopen it, because it'll just spam those warnings, otherwise it's very annoying. Here, I'm gonna relaunch the game real quick, because I didn't get to show that. Oh, interesting. It did say fault. Okay. Yeah, so it already built, so this should be immediate. But yeah, check out how fast the world generates in release mode. It's very nice. Someone says something. Stream feels smooth over here on YouTube. Okay, that's good. That's good. Maybe I should use CPU encoding more often. I mean, like, does it get stuttery when I start loading the world? Because, like, that was always an issue with GPU encoding. Because I did a lot of stuff with multiple threads, and, like, I did a lot of memory uploading to the GPU, and it was causing the encoding to be very slow on, the stream side, but it looks like it's... Oh no, it's still quite laggy, judging by the preview. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably swap over to hardware encoding again at some point. Hit12134 says, Minecraft? This is a voxel engine, yes, but it's not Minecraft. It's its own engine that I've been working on for the last several years. I know it looks very Minecrafty right now. A lot of these assets are either temporary or unfinished, and I'm missing a lot of world detail. I'm pretty much just working on the engine capabilities right now, so yeah. Twitch stutters a bit, yeah. It's only when it's building, or when it's launching though, right? Because I know I do use every core on my machine when I do the world gen, which I probably shouldn't. I should probably leave at least one core for the machine to do other things. But yeah, release mode is feeling pretty smooth. This is exciting. I actually have, like, entities rendering that don't destroy the world. Because, like, the previous issue I was having, I kept having seg faults after playing for, like, 2 minutes. And I was like, what's going on? Why is this broken? And then last week I looked into it and found out, oh, hey, I never wrote the code to garbage collect entities at all. Which meant that every frame I was generating a new wireframe, and then I was never deleting it, and so it was just filling up the GPU RAM, which was kind of dumb. Excuse me. Zepha redeemed a hydrate. Zith, I am scared for what your bits transactions thing must look like. Oh my god. You're a crazy person. Okay. What was I actually doing? There was a reason for all this. Oh yeah! So I'm doing a university thing right now. This is fun to just remember at this very moment. I'm doing a self-directed study, which is basically me getting credit to do something that I said I was gonna do on my own project. That project being this. And I told my professor that I was going to implement structures. And so far, I'm like a month and a half behind because I was debugging entities that whole time. So, Great. What I should probably do right now is do a little bit of work on that, because yeah, at this point engine's working again. I can actually work on that, and I think I can get what's like needs to be done pretty quickly. The thing I want to work on right now is I have a if I press Z, spawn in. Yeah, terrain down here. One of these is a world edit wand. I don't know how to actually tell. Actually, let me just restart the game, because I know I spawn in with the world edit wand. So, currently what I've been working on is setting up structures. Structures are easy enough as long as you keep them to be less than 2 chunks wide. Unfortunately, I have a fairly ambitious idea when it comes to structures. Oh man, the wireframe actually works! Oh, this is exciting. Okay. Yeah, I have a fairly ambitious idea when it comes to structures. It's like a very data-driven, piecewise structure system. It was inspired by Minecraft's deficiencies. Like, you know how they're releasing those trial chambers? I've been kind of observing for a long time that Minecraft structures that are generated piecewise with this structure blocks and stuff are entirely incoherent. The trial chambers don't have an entrance, and they don't have an exit, and they don't have a boss room. They just have rooms, which just stick together, however. And that also happens for the end cities. You can find an end city that has one room and then a top, or you can find one that's like a million fucking blocks long, right? And I think the idea of using data-driven structures that are piecewise is really cool, because it means you don't have to run arbitrary code, which means it's really, really easy to multi-thread and have run on a mapgen thread. But I don't think Minecraft's system isn't powerful enough at all. All it is just when you spawn a structure, it can probabilistically spawn other structures, but it doesn't have any sort of context, it doesn't have any state, it doesn't have any data associated with it. So basically what my idea is I want a similar system where you can have structures and then substructure attachments that can spawn probabilistically. So when you spawn in a structure, it can have a bunch of attachment points that might spawn one of a set of other structures based on certain weights, or it might terminate. But I also want a counter system, where basically any structure can either define or consume counters. So if you wanted to make a Zelda dungeon with a boss room at the end, and then several sort of chambers that lead up to it, maybe with mini boss rooms and keys after the mini boss room, you can start at the boss chamber, and then you can define a counter that says oh, I want 3 key doors in this dungeon. And then the basic logic will say that the structure can only generate if it manages to create a layout where all of the counters end up at 0. And then so from the boss room, it can start generating rooms backwards. And then whenever it creates a room, if the key room's counter is greater than 0, it can spawn in a key room. And that key room basically has a key door in it, a locked door. And it decrements the key room counter by 1, but it increments the keys counter by 1, which tells the generator that it needs to generate a room with a key in it to actually open the door, right? And then it basically proceeds like that, where now that there's a key counter, there's a chance that it'll generate a room that has a key in it. And you could use counters to basically define minimum distance from rooms as well, where you could have the key door assign a keys counter, and then also assign a closeness counter. And then every room that's created after that can decrement the closeness counter, and then the key, the room with the key in it can spawn if the key, or if the distance counter is at 0. And then basically it can just continue to propagate out, and then let's say when key door's counter is set to 0, it's actually allowed to generate the entrance to the dungeon, and then when it generates the entrance, it terminates, there's no other, attachment points for any other rooms, and if the, all the counters are 0 at that point, then it actually commits the structure. And that will allow you to make much more coherent structures in the game with no arbitrary code, is my hope anyways. So many... Oh yeah, should I buy Quest 3 tonight and hang out in VR and chat all weekend with friends? VR is pretty fun. I mean, I like VR. Gotta focus on some math, have a good rest of your stream, hope to catch another one in the future. Yeah, great, have a great focus, thanks for coming around, I hope you catch another stream. Yeah, I think VR is quite fun if you like it. I find it really hurts my head, so I tend not to do it very often. I did some VR streams a couple of years ago, and I get these horrible, horrible headaches from the thing. Curious what your approach is going to be. The tricky part of structures is usually making sure a structure can be generated from any chunk it inhabits, regardless of generation order. That is actually, like, a big thing that I don't know how to answer right now. I initially had a plan that was basically just making all structure generations independent of one another, but then I realized that doing that means that, like, trees could spawn inside of big house buildings, right? And that's not going to work. So I'm still uncertain about that. I might do a priority system, but I'll need to figure something out there. I might split the world into macro regions, where structures cannot span the boundaries of those macro regions, and then it basically predefines where all the structures for that region are going to be immediately, and then caches them, and then actually instantiates them when it generates the individual chunks. But yeah, I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. Oh, I'm working on a proc-gen dungeon crawler just now, and it does something very close to what you're saying. Oh, cool, okay. It's good to know that this technique's been used before. I couldn't find anyone that was talking about doing it, and so when I brought it to my prof, he was like, yeah, that seems like a pretty cool original idea for a study. So I'm hoping it works out, yeah. I'll be very interested to see how your project goes. Are you in my Discord? I would love to see, like, what you're working on if you're in there, but, you know, no pressure, of course. I used to go to VR nights during COVID, most cyberpunk experience ever. COVID was a very interesting time. We got very sci-fied during COVID, I found. And then that all kind of just stopped when everyone was like, I don't know, I kind of like going outside. Oh yeah, this region here, that's the world edit. I can actually, like, do stuff with it. The message box at the top, if I do, like, grass 5, yeah, that, grass 550, oh god, somehow went to the floor. No, I've got so many spaces in my message here. I should make it so that you can't move when you're typing in here, definitely. It's at grass 550, oh god, does 0 teleport me? Huh. Grass 950. And I broke it. Unknown fuzzy identifier grass 550. Weird. That should have been able to... Oh, I think it's a % sign, not a colon. Macro regions is a good idea. I'm stuck with limiting the size of my structure... Or, you stuck with limiting the size of your structures. Does mean every chunk has to check its neighbors to see if they generate a structure, so it's a performance hit. So, how do you handle the fact that, like, any chunk... So, you said that you're limiting your structures to the size of 2 chunks, right? Do you have, like... I'm trying to understand how you could actually make that consistent generation order. Because if chunk A could propagate out to chunk B, and chunk B could propagate out to chunk A, then which one generates first will affect the final result, right? My main worry with macro regions is that, you'll get, like, boundaries and forests where trees don't span, like, a certain line, right? So I might need to think more about that, but I think the general idea of the macro region is probably good. I probably would have done it post-COVID, but the nightclubs literally started turning into Studio 54. It's all about who you know to get in. Felt like a waste of time at that point. Yeah, that makes sense. God, I saw something kind of weird. Like, I was looking at the Twitch analytics, and it had a section that was top new followers. And I was like, what does top mean? And I was looking at it, and it looks like it rates followers by their own follower count. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Like, I know as creators, we want attention, right? Like, we want views on our content because it means we do more things. Like, or we get more attention, and that helps. Like, I know I'm not... My goal is not to be a live streamer or a YouTuber. My goal is to make a game, but I need attention from these platforms to actually get people to know it exists and want to buy it. But, like, users of Twitch are not necessarily also in, like, the popularity contest zone, right? Like, if you're just watching someone's streams, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. And it feels weird that Twitch, like, scores regular people that are watching streams by their followers and calls them, like, the top followers. It just felt a little bit strange. Like, I guess as a raw statistic, it could be useful. Like, you know, I guess if you get followed by someone really big, then maybe you could, like, I don't know, do a collaboration or something. I don't do enough internet things to actually know if that would be useful at all. But, like, it still felt very, like, strange. It felt a little bit, like, shallow. Wow, leaves. Oh yeah, so I did this thing. There's this thing that Minecraft Bedrock Edition does, which I'm really satisfied. I like it a lot. So, these leaves here, they look like normal transparent leaves, right? Ignore the Z fighting, that's a bit stupid, I should fix that. Like, they look like these. But actually, beyond the first layer is like a more minimal leaf block that is opaque. Yeah, there we go. See? And that actually, like, very much reduces the number of faces that have to render. I can actually show it here. If I just do like this, that middle one there, it becomes opaque, right? And I really like that technique. I think it's, like, it's very non-obtrusive. Like, it doesn't look particularly, like, bad or worse in general than, like, having them all be opaque or transparent. But, like, it saves a lot of potential faces, which I think is neat. I guess if they're a streamer, it's a higher chance for them to raid you. I guess so. I don't know how often that happens, though. I guess when I was doing Ludum Dare, I got a lot of raids from the other Ludum Dare people. But I don't know if that's because they followed me. I'm pretty sure it's mostly just because when the Ludum Dare people stop streaming, they go into the list of other people streaming Ludum Dare and just choose someone that looks interesting. Which is a cool social thing. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But, like, what I'm saying is just, like, I don't think it's about if they're following you or not. It just felt like a weird metric that didn't really actually mean anything of value. It just was, like, strange. Yo, I can spawn grass by pressing F. I forgot I did that. F is, like, the interact key. And yes, I know that that's, like, a very polarizing thing. Some people really want right-click to be the interact button for voxel games. And I tend to sort of agree a lot of the time. So I've actually built the whole thing with the capacity to do both. Like, it has a mode where if you right-click, it prioritizes interactions if a block has one, and then otherwise places. But it also has a mode where right-click always places, and you can define a key to interact, which I like personally. I think that's good. Now you can see the tunnel I dug, because it's not just entirely a mess of internal faces. Wow, my voice is really, draining here. E is interact. I have it set to F right now because E is fly for some weird-ass reason. I don't pretend to know the whims of my mind, but obviously I'm going to have bindable keys, so I'm not too worried about it. I'll probably have, like, a more traditional control scheme for the default thing, like, because I use Dvorak, so everything I do is fucked. But, like, I'll have some basic QWERTY layout that probably uses interact, right-click as well, by default, but yeah. I was also considering middle-click for interact. I thought that would be kind of cool. But I also really like middle-click as pick block. Like, that's what Minecraft does, and it's also what Vintage Story does, and it's just so incredibly useful. Like, even in survival mode, if you just have, like, the block in your inventory and you middle-click, and then it goes to, like, the currently selected hotbar slot, that's so nice for building. Like, it just makes it so much more convenient. So I'm tempted to keep that as pick block. Polnac? Ah, interesting, yeah. I looked at a couple of the options and when I was, like, first setting up my new keyboard layout and swapping from QWERTY, and I ended up choosing Dvorak because I'd heard a lot about it, and like there wasn't a very strong indication about which was better between QWERTY or Dvorak and Polmac. And I think the main thing that Polmac said was that it was more similar to QWERTY, right? And I wanted like a very strong departure, because I knew it was going to be hell for me to learn either way, and I figured the more similar it was to QWERTY, the easier it would be for me to not learn it properly and just like fuck up all the time. Like, because I'd still be in QWERTY brain. So I decided to like fully just go over to Dvorak. And I really like it. But like, I have nothing against the people that use Polmac or any of the other layouts. Those are also very cool. Also, I forgot I had this code here to just like spread the flowers. I'm surprised it's not lagging at all. Like, holy shit. Yes. COVID cough. This was just a test, basically, of performance. And it seems like it's performing very well. The game will compress chunks that are outside of your immediate area. It always keeps the ones that you're around uncompressed, because you need collision and stuff. And it also will decompress on demand if you like try to interact with something that is for some reason compressed, or the game in general tries to query something that's compressed, like with all these flowers. But all the chunks in the distance are compressed, right? And I used to be using Z standard for that, just like piping all of the binary data into Z standard and just hoping that it compresses well. And it actually was compressing very well. And then I added like lighting data to it, and it got really bad for some reason. And like I messed around with it, and in general, because it's like a general use compression algorithm, it seemed like a lot of stuff was like heuristic in nature, and making very small changes to my data format, like the alignment of the bits and stuff, made a huge difference for how effectively it could compress. And I wasn't super comfortable with that, because a lot of the data in my game is user-defined, right? Like, if someone happens to use an arrangement of bits that are not friendly for the engine, and then performance just tanks, that's not a good look. I'd rather it be consistent even if it was, like, a little bit worse on, like, a raw level. So I ended up, swapping over to just, like, run index encoding, because that's just a general algorithm that can be written, like, just by me, because I'm not really a mathematician, but, like, it's not very hard, right? It's basically just, if you have, like, a list of, like, 10 zeros and 5 ones, run index encoding is basically saying, like, number 10, then 0. 0, 0, to say at index 0, it's 0. And then 11, 1, to say at index 11, so after the 10 zeros, it's now 1s. And then you'd have, like, at the end, like, 15 terminate or something, to say that it stops after 5 ones. And that ended up actually being, like, almost entirely as optimal as Z standard in the best case. And, it also is consistent, because I define the encoding for the different things, like the lighting and the chunks and stuff, and it's super, super fast to compress and decompress compared to Z standard. So that was a real win. Like, it used to lag a lot when a lot of chunk manipulations happened outside of the decompressed area. And now it's a lot faster. And the game does, like, it does keep the chunks decompressed for, like, a couple seconds or whatever if they're pulled. Because oftentimes, like, if a chunk's getting decompressed, it's because an entity or something is interacting with it, or the game is querying and manipulating it, or like some script is doing something, and it probably is going to need to do it again, so. I'll probably also have an emergency mode where it just starts tossing out the oldest chunks if, like, it's using a shitload of memory all over the place, but I haven't decided that yet. Also, if you guys noticed, you see how these flowers are kind of fucky over here? They're just like squares. So they still need to have per flower coloring. Right now they're all just using the lavender flower, which is not ideal, for sure. It should be using whichever one it actually is. But these low poly chunk models are part of the level of detail system. It's the first level of the system. I want to, after this point, go down to like halving the resolution of chunks. So instead of a 32 by 32 by 32 chunk, it would be 16 by 16 by 16, where each cube represents a 2 by 2 by 2 of actual blocks. And then continue lowering the resolution over and over again to get really far render distance. But this is the first stage where it basically just gets rid of any non-cubic meshes, and then does like very aggressive greedy meshing. And it actually looks really good in my opinion. Like, it's very hard to tell. Like, if you are standing where you're supposed to, like right now the game always assumes that you're standing at 0, 0 for doing level of detail ones. It doesn't like recompute. It's very hard to tell, and it would be even harder to tell if it actually used the proper colors, that those are different than these flowers, right? Like, it kind of just looks like purple. Is the level of detail texture for the cubic mesh of the flowers generated, or do you have to manually create the texture? That one's manually created. It will auto-generate a mesh, just based on the textures that you specify, but if you're using a custom model, like the flowers, then it probably won't work. You know, it'll probably just be weird. So yeah, that one, those are manually generated. And these grass ones are also manually generated. They're gradients because I found that there was a lot of kind of banding noise with the dirt texture in the distance. So I just kind of made it a mostly grass top texture, which I think in the distance makes the terrain look a lot smoother, which I like. But yeah, it will auto-create the texture for primitive blocks like dirt or whatever. If I go place dirt in the low detail zone, I don't have manual textures defined for it, it's just dirt. And then same for these sticks, which actually are not good to be at low detail, because honestly, like, sticks are not very large. At that distance, you wouldn't be able to see them. But right now, they're just rendering as full cubes. I should disable that. You can specify that a block should not render at all in low detail mode, which is good for small ground clutter like that in the stones. I just haven't specified that yet, so it's not doing it. Yeah, but my voice is honestly kind of, giving out here. I don't know if you've been hearing my, like, the wavering that's happening. It's very tragic. I've definitely got a lot more voice stamina than I had a couple weeks ago when I first got COVID and was, like, really out of it, but, I think it's probably best for me to stop streaming for the rest of, today and go and sit in a nice cold place for a little while. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that. But thank you so much for everyone who came and watched. I really enjoyed chatting with all of you, and I'm really glad that I actually got my bugs fixed. That's a really good thing, given that I need to get this stupid self-directed study done. I stream every Saturday, if you don't know, on Twitch and YouTube now. My YouTube is on the screen at the bottom, and so is my Discord, if you ever want to come on and chat. I talk a lot about my game there, and there's a bunch of cool people that are working on their own projects, so, you know, if you want to socialize or whatever, then there you go. But other than that, I'm gonna head out for today, so yeah, thank you all for joining me on this adventure. It's always a lot more bearable to debug shitty code when I'm doing it with a bunch of internet people talking to me, so I really enjoy streaming. I'll see you all next week. Hope you had a great time, and bye! Gotta actually close the game, too. Wait, there's 2 instances of it, or did it just go away? Oh my god, thank you for the bits, Sith. You have a scary amount of disposable Twitch income, apparently. See you later. Yep, bye Neff. Bye Japion. Yes.